Hi, readers, and welcome to today's read aloud, Carmela, Full of Wishes. It was written by Matt de la Peña, and it was illustrated by Christian Robinson. Again, if you are reading with a family member, or even if you're by yourself, either tell me or tell them, what does the author do? Remember, the author writes the words. And now, tell us what the illustrator does. The illustrator draws, paints, or takes the pictures. All right, this is the fields, and there are people working in the fields. Carmela, full of wishes. Carmela scooted along the uneven dirt path, watching men stoop to work with their hands, her birthday bracelets jingling and jangling. The thick greenhouse air smelled of marigolds and overturned earth and fresh manure. Carmela knew exactly what manure was, but she didn't want to think about that. Not today. Do you know what manure is? It's animal poop. Today she awoke to candles in her pancakes, and her mom sang, "Happy birthday to you," and told her, "Go on, mija, make a wish." But Carmela's wish had already come true. She was finally old enough to go with her big brother. It says Pandaria, Las Delicias Bakery. Camila followed as he cut back onto the street at Freedom Boulevard, past the crowded bus stop and fenced-off repair shop, past the old folks' home where two hunched old women waved smiles, past the huge home improvement store where her dad used to stand around weekend mornings waiting for work. Carmela tried to make small talk with her brothers as their metal cart rattled, but her brother didn't make small talk back. He didn't want her tagging along. "Too bad," she told him with a glare. His face shows that he didn't look too happy. Just outside the laundromat, she picked a lone dandelion growing among the concrete weeds. She pulled a breath and leaned toward the fuzzy white bulb, but just before she could blow, her brother butted in. "Did you even make a wish? You're supposed to make a wish. Everyone knows that." "Of course I made a wish," she told him. But it was a lie. Carmela didn't know. Carmela helped her brother sort colors one-handed, helped him load the washers one item at a time, and while their clothes spun, her imagination turned, each new thought ushered in by a jingle of her bracelets. Her brother found the sound annoying, and he shot her a dirty look. "Too bad," she told him with a glare. She jingled her bracelets as she rode up to Miss Maria's vegetable stand. Imagining a machine built into her bedroom wall, one that would spit out anything she could think of, but mostly candies. It looks like a vending machine in her own room. She jingled her bracelets in line at the locksmith shop, imagining her mom sleeping in one of those fancy hotel beds that she spent all day making for the fancy guests. She jingled her bracelets at the bodega down the block from their old apartment building, imagining her dad getting his papers fixed so he could finally be home. She jingled her bracelets outside the pharmacy, eyeing the shiny new bikes in the window, and her brother stopped in his tracks. "Why do you have to be so annoying?" She thumbed her bracelets at him and she said, "It's a free country." The only time she didn't reach for her bracelets was when her brother ducked into his friend's house. Carmela slumped down on the curb, silently imagining all the things she could turn him into. He could be the slimy pink tail of a rat. He could be a cockroach scurrying away from the light. A wheelbarrow full of manure left in the sun. She stared down at the dandelion in her hand. It seemed so much more important now that she knew it was a place to put her wishes. What if she made the wrong choice? Carmela tried to hop a curb on the long trip home, but her tire caught and her handlebars twisted, and she went crashing to the concrete. "Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry." But then she saw her dandelion crushed beside the drain. She looked up at her big brother, warm tears rolling down her cheeks, and he lifted up her scooter. "You okay?" And she shook her head and she pointed. "My wish." He took her by the arm and he led her back up the block, past the laundromat and the flea market, past the greenhouses and the smell of manure, past the overgrown park and across the train tracks, and he didn't stop until they made it to an abandoned farmhouse near a cliff overlooking the sea. "Close your eyes," he said. Readers, I wonder where he's taking his sister. Do you have a guess? Can you make a prediction of where they might be headed to? Carmela closed them. "Now, make your wish," he said. And Carmela listened to the ocean's hum in the distance. She listened to the squawking birds, and she listened to the wind whistling past her ears. Then she opened her eyes, and she saw hundreds of tiny white spores lifting into the air, floating out towards the far-off surf. The sky was full of wishes. Did any of you predict that she saw some dandelions? "Let's go," said her brother. "Don't you want to know my wish?" she asked. He shook his head. "If you tell, it won't come true." So she looked back one last time, then took off her bracelet, and she followed her brother home. The end. Friends, if you were to find a dandelion, what would you wish for? Maybe today you can do an art project and draw what you would wish for, or you can even do a writing, and you can start your writing off by saying, "I would wish for," and then write about it. And then don't forget, you can always send it to me so I know what you did. All right, until next time, my friends. Bye.